Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Rowan Meisner, and today we're going to be talking about suspension mods on the S10. So let's get right into it. So I went through basically the entire truck suspension and either replaced or modded, upgraded I guess, the suspensions. So first thing I started with was the leaf springs. So I ended up buying Belltech's 3-inch drop leaf springs. You have to buy them separately on Summit, but that's what I ended up going with. And my S10 actually came out of the junkyard with 3-inch blocks on it. I had 4-inch blocks that I was thinking to put in, but I ended up reusing the 3-inch blocks because they were already there, and 6 inches is actually a decent drop on the S10s, so. Alright, tonight I am taking off the leaf springs, putting the Belltech ones on, and putting the 3-inch blocks back on. Hopefully a 6-inch drop is good enough for the truck. If it's not low enough for me, we'll just take the 3-inch blocks off and put the 4-inch blocks on it. But right now we're going to start with getting it jacked up and on jack stands on the frame. And then we'll go from there. Start unbolting crap. So let's do it. Oh yeah, it's going to take a couple years. This jack sucks. I'm hearing some sketchy noises. The front is on jack stands too, so I'm just hoping that that's not like coming down or something. Alright, going down. Really? Yeah, it's off. It's completely off the front jack stands. Alright, so now I'm messing with these absolutely destroyed U-bolts. Get them out of the truck. Probably gonna grind them out. There's one. Round 'em up, let's go. Let's go. Double engine and that's not doing anything. Alright, so I just dropped the factory tank. You guys can probably see why I'm not going to be using it. So this is just trash. It's going to go right in the garbage. Making room for the fuel cell, but I had to take the tank out in order to get better access at the leaf spring perch in the front. So now the leaf spring can go in. Alright, so here is the Belltech 3-inch drop spring. Gonna get it up in the perch and then I'll show you guys that, but I'm probably not gonna film it because I can't get any good angles, so I'll just get it done. Alright, the spring is in. It's not tightened on either side, but it is in. So right now I'm gonna cut the snubbers in half. Probably leave about 1 inch, and if that's not good enough, I'll just take them out completely. But just, you know, getting prepared for clearance issues, and then I will get the block in between the spring and the axle, and do the other side, and then drop it on the ground, dude. Alright, snubber is cut. Sort of not very great, but now the block gets to go in there somehow like that. And then we bolt it in. shock hose. I did end up taking the shock off, but I've got that back on now. And springs are bolted into the shackles. U-bolts are bolted in. Block is in, shock is back on and bolted in. So on to the other side. Do the exact same thing. Ooh, baby. There's still way too much of a freaking gap though, dude. The thing's pretty low. Pretty low. So that was getting the leaf springs in place. It's a pretty simple job. If you've never done it before, definitely do not be afraid to do it. It is pretty simple, especially on the S10s. Also, that clip that you guys just saw was when the truck was just barely sat down. I definitely think that the suspension settled a little bit in the rear since then, because now there's about like a 2-inch gap, I want to say, between the tire and the wheel well. As you can see, like in that clip, it looked like 4 or more inches. Like, it definitely settled a lot, and it looks pretty good as is with just the 3-inch block. So, but next up, I wanted to move on to finishing up a little bit of the undercarriage, I guess, of the truck before moving to the front suspension. So here's that. All right, today I'm going to take the wire wheel and do up the drums a little bit. Grind them down and get them ready for a little bit of paint just to make them look a little bit better. Eventually I will do the frame. I'll do the whole frame when I go to paint the truck and take the bed end cab off the frame. So, gonna do these. Alright, right now I'm going to paint the booster. Here's how I've got it set up. I have the rod to the brake going through the breaker bar there. Set up on this cardboard box. And we're going to paint it. Alright, and just like that, the booster is done and painted. Alright, so I think this was around the point where my T3i actually decided to die on me. And I had to use the GoPro to get the rest of the clips, so the clips are a little bit sparse from here on out. I still have some, but I didn't really go into detail while I was putting the stuff together. But so for the front suspension, I went with DJM 2-inch drop spindles, which I bought off my dad because he had them and he was going to put them on a G-body, and they're the same spindle. So, and then I went with Proforged ball joints on the control arms, as well as polyurethane bushings. So I think that's a little bit more into the detail of what I actually did, but I do have a few more clips of putting it together, so here are those. Alright, control arms are stripped, blown off. I need to wipe them off with acetone or Prep-All or something. Get them ready and then prime them and spray them. Alright, second dusting coat.
Here we go, mate. Gonna heat it up a little bit. Get it nice and warm.
Alright, so now that the frame is painted, I'm looking at putting the motor mounts into the truck, the new motor mounts. I didn't know this, but apparently with the trans-adapt mounts you have to reuse your old the bolts that came off of the motor mounts that were already on the truck. So anyways, I've got these laid out and I've been cleaning them up because I'm going to paint them, and I've been cleaning up the threads by just using a 15 wrench, holding the bolt and running the nut onto the threads a few times with each nut and bolt. Just trying to clean up the threads, make them, you know, safe enough for holding a 450 horsepower small block Chevy down, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. So garage is a mess, but I think I've pretty much got this side done. But I'm getting the shock in there now. It's not bolted in yet, but getting there. So I'm also going to be putting on the idler on here. These are kind of weird because they have blue ball joints, and I've got red bushings, and a bunch of red accents will be in the engine bay. So I don't know how that's going to look, but you know, whatever. Just trying to get it running for right now. So for shocks, I am doing the Street Performance, the Belltech setup, and on the shock, this is around the shaft. I guess it's the dust cover or whatever you'd consider it. You have to take that off to get it in for the S10s, but it like doesn't even matter because all you see is the shock body. So do have to deal with that. But hopefully they're decent shocks. I mean, they're nitrogen charged, you know, whatever. I mean, if that helps. But yeah, and then these are factory springs for an Iroc /S10. I believe they're 760 pound I could be wrong, not completely sure, but we cut those down because they were stock. I bought them, they're factory height springs, so we cut them down. And we've got the drop spindle. I took a coil and a half off of the spring, so hopefully it gives us 5 inches or so. I guess we'll see once it's on the ground, but yeah, so it's coming along. Got the idler arm on there, all bolted on. We can just adjust it wherever it needs to be for the tie rods or for the center link, but you know, yeah. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for the entire suspension overhaul on the S10. So to recap, we went with Belltech leaf springs, 3-inch drop leaf springs with 3-inch blocks on them. DJM 2-inch drop spindles, Iroc springs that are cut, took a coil and a half off of them. Proforged ball joints, red polyurethane bushings, which is dope. And I think that's it. We got stock control arms for right now. I do want to do eventually probably UMI control arms would be pretty sick. Get some tubular stuff going on. Tubular. Sorry, that's Korean. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the suspension video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate that. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see some more of this content, of the S10 content, as well as maybe some other content coming up pretty soon. I'm trying to do other stuff, but you know, I don't know. Yeah, anyways. Alright, I think that is pretty much it for today's video, guys. I will see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great day. I love you. Goodbye.